All right, so in this video, we're going to talk about standard form. In the last video, we talked a little bit about what it meant for slope-intercept form. And it was a really nice method. It made it easy to graph, right? It was in this format. Y is equal to mx plus b. And we'll use this format quite a lot. But there is actually another form that you need to be familiar with. It's called standard form. And it looks a little bit different. Okay, it looks like this. AX plus BY equals C, where A, B, and C are just numbers. So like this could have been like 2x plus 3y is equal to 7, or something like that. Okay. Now, if you're asked to graph in standard form, there's really two methods you could go with. One's definitely going to be easier than the other. The first one, which you could do this for any kind of graphing question. Even if you're in like super high level, like college level math, you could still make a table and then start plugging in values and see what works. Okay, this is kind of like a guess and check kind of method. Okay, so it's possible that when you make a table and you plug in a number, it may not come out with a nice value. Okay, so that's one way to do it. It may not be the best. The second method is called or is finding the intercepts. Okay, and that's the one that I want to focus on in this video is how to find the intercepts when it's something in the standard form. All right. Okay, so I'm going to give you an equation. What's the equation we're going with is, and I want you to graph negative 3x plus 6y is equal to 12. Okay. Now, if you really wanted to do a table, I'm going to show you that right now. Okay, so the idea in making a table is essentially making a t-chart or t-table with x and y. Okay, and realistically, you could plug in any number you wanted to and see what comes out after you plug it in. So, for example, you could plug in, let's say you wanted to plug in 2, right? If you're plugging in 2 for x, we want to see what comes out for y. So you would do something like this. Negative 3 times 2 plus 6y equals 12. And then we just have to solve for y. It's not super difficult. Negative 3 times 2 gives you negative 6. Okay, and we're going to treat this like an equation. So we're going to add 6 to the other side. Oops. So these cancel out. And we get 6y is equal to 18. And then you can divide by 6. And you get y is equal to 3. Now in this case, it worked out perfectly, right? So we know that one of our points, in order to graph a line, you only need 2 points. This gives us 1 point. We know that 2 comma 3 is one of our points on our line. So if you wanted to use this method, you'd just have to plug in another value. But again, plugging in values, you may not always get a nice number out. Okay, if you don't believe me, try plugging in 1 and see what comes out. Okay, it'll end up being like a decimal or a fraction. Okay, the method that I want to focus on more is the intercepts method. Okay, it's actually probably easier than trying to do a table. The idea with intercepts is we're going to find the 2 points where the line crosses our axis lines. Where does it cross the x-axis and where does it cross the y-axis? The reason why it makes it a little bit easier is because if you think about those coordinates, right, the x-intercept and the y-intercept, we know that one of the values is going to have to be 0. Right? So if we're trying to find the x-intercept, we're essentially going to plug in 0 for y. Or vice versa, if we're trying to find the y-intercept, we're going to plug in 0 for x. Now, the nice thing about plugging in zeros is it makes the math very easy, because anything times 0 is 0 and just goes away. So if you're trying to figure out this first one, where it's something comma 0, we're going to plug in 0 for y and see what comes out for x. Okay, so negative 3x plus 6, but I'm going to replace y with a 0. Okay, and again, we're going to solve for x, but in this case, the math is going to be very easy because 6 times 0 is 0. It's gone. That leaves us with just this, which is a very easy equation. Right, we just have to get rid of that negative 3 by dividing. Okay, 12 divided by negative 3 gives you negative 4. Okay, that means that our x-intercept is going to be negative 4 comma 0, and that's one of our points. Now we just have to do the same thing for the y-intercept. We know that the x value is going to be 0, so we just got to plug that in. So negative 3 times 0 plus 6y equals 12. Again, the nice thing about working with zeros is they make things go away, right? Negative 3 times 0 is 0. Bring down the leftovers. 6y is equal to 12. And now to get rid of that 6, divide. So we get y is equal to 2, which means our second point is going to be 0, 2. And again, we only need 2 points to draw a line, so we're set. So now all we have to do is just draw a graph, plot those points, and then we're done. Oops. All right, so let me go ahead and draw a little graph. Okay, so we're going to plot our 2 points. Remember, we have negative 4, 0, and this one was 0, 2. So negative 4, 0 is there, and 0, 2 is there. Okay, if we're using this method, both of our points should be on the axis lines, like so. Okay, that's the whole point of doing this, is we're trying to figure out where does it cross those 2 axis lines. And we just draw our line, and then we are done. So it's a nice simple way to get our 2 points. We're just plugging in 0 and seeing what comes out. Okay. I'm going to put another one on the screen that I want you guys to go ahead and try. All right, I'm going to go ahead and start a new page just to kind of make things easier. All right, so the question I would like you to try is 4x plus 10y equals 20. And again, I want you to find the intercept. So the points I want you to find are something, 0. Remember, that's your x value and your y value. And 0, something. Okay, so you're going to plug in those zeros, see what comes out, and get those 2 points. Okay, at this point, go ahead and pause the video and try it out. And then in a few moments after you're finished, press play to check your work. All right, let's go ahead and check to see what you guys got. Okay, so for the first one, we're going to plug in 0 for y. So we're going to get something like this, 4x plus 10, and where we're going to place the y value is 0, equals 20. 10 times 0 is 0, so those are gone. 4x equals 20. And now we need to get rid of that 4, so we're going to divide. 20 divided by 4 gives us 5. So our first point is 5, 0. And then we're going to repeat the process, but this time we're going to replace the x with the 0. Okay, so 4, this time we'll put 0 in for x, plus 10y equals 20. Okay, so this time the 4 is going away. We get 10y equals 20. And we're getting rid of the 10 by dividing. So we get an answer of y is equal to 2. So our point is 0, 2. And then if you needed to graph these, you would essentially just plot those 2 points. Let's draw a little graph. Okay, 0, 2 would be here, and 5, 0 would be here. Draw our line, and we are done.